Every modern city shares the same silent crisis. It does not appear on postcards. It does not show up in skyline shots. It is never mentioned in tourism campaigns or economic forecasts. Yet it silently defines the future of every urban civilization on Earth. Waste. It exists beneath the streets, behind locked metal doors, inside pipes no one ever sees. At the edges of cities where attention fades, garbage accumulates every single day. Sewage backs up quietly. Landfills expand until they resemble artificial mountains built from consumption itself. And no matter how advanced a city claims to be, no matter how modern its technology looks, this problem never disappears. It only grows. The official explanation sounds reasonable, almost comforting. Cities create waste. Waste must be removed. Simple, logical, efficient, and rarely questioned. But history tells a different story. Because there was a time when cities did not drown in their own waste. A time when sanitation systems did not collapse every few decades. A time when waste did not poison water, soil, and entire regions. Not because ancient people were cleaner. Not because they lived simpler lives. Not because they produced less. But because they designed cities differently. This is a reconstruction of a system modern civilization chose to abandon. Not by accident, not through ignorance, but by deliberate choice. Stay with this until the end, because what follows explains why modern cities cannot fix their waste problem, no matter how advanced their technology becomes. Modern cities treat waste as an unavoidable byproduct of life. Garbage accumulates daily. Sewage must be flushed constantly. Landfills grow faster than the cities themselves. Entire industries exist for one purpose: to make waste disappear from sight. Trucks collect it, pipes transport it, plants process it, landfills bury it. Out of sight, out of mind. The system feels complete, even sophisticated. But this illusion hides a deeper belief that waste is useless, something to eliminate, something to export, something with no value once discarded. This belief feels ancient. It is not. For most of human history, waste was not something to remove. It was something to manage, to transform, to reintegrate into life. Ancient cities did not treat waste as an afterthought. They did not build cities first and ask sanitation questions later. Waste management was embedded into the structure of the city itself. Urban planning began with a fundamental question: how does matter move through this place? Not just people, not just goods, but water, nutrients, organic material, the byproducts of life itself. Ancient cities were designed as living systems. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was ignored. Everything circulated. Waste did not leave the city. It changed form inside it. What you are about to hear explains why ancient cities survived for centuries, while modern cities collapse in a matter of decades. In modern cities, organic waste is treated as contamination. Food scraps, plant matter, animal remains, all mixed together, compacted, transported, buried far from sight. Ancient cities did the opposite. Organic waste was separated at the source. Food remnants were collected daily. Plant fibers were dried and reused. Animal byproducts were processed carefully and separately. Composting was not informal, it was engineered. Temperature was controlled, airflow was regulated, moisture was measured deliberately. Bacteria did the work. Time completed the transformation. What emerged was not waste, it was fertility. Cities fed farms, farms fed cities, a closed and stable system. No long-distance transport, no landfills, no artificial mountains of decay. Modern civilization treats human waste as toxic. Flush, dilute, transport, neutralize. Ancient civilizations understood something critical. Human waste is dangerous only when mishandled. In ancient cities, separation was absolute. Solid waste followed dry systems. Liquid waste followed controlled channels. Solid waste was aged slowly, exposed to sunlight. Neutralized over time. Pathogens died naturally. What remained was usable. Returned to agriculture under strict cultural rules. Sanitation was not accidental. It was sacred. Notice something unsettling here. Ancient cities reused what modern cities are forbidden to touch. Modern cities move water fast. Pressure, pumps, speed. Ancient cities slowed water down. Gray water flowed through stone channels, through sand beds, through plant roots. Microorganisms cleaned it naturally. No chemicals, no electricity, no centralized plants. Time was the missing ingredient. Slowness created resilience. Speed creates fragility. Modern cities are built with materials designed to be discarded. Plastics, composites, synthetic compounds. Materials that never return safely to nature. Ancient cities followed one rule: never introduce a material that cannot re-enter the cycle. Clay returned to soil. Stone weathered naturally. Organic fibers decomposed safely. Metal was never discarded. It was melted, recast, reused endlessly. Nothing was designed for single use. This single rule explains why ancient cities did not drown in waste, even at large population scales. Modern sanitation is hidden, underground, out of sight, out of mind. Ancient sanitation was visible. Floors sloped intentionally. Drainage followed gravity. Channels were accessible. Systems were designed to be inspected. Failure was expected and contained. Modern systems are centralized. One failure spreads everywhere. Ancient systems failed locally. A blocked channel affected one area. Overflow was absorbed by soil. Failure did not cascade. This is called graceful failure. Modern infrastructure ignores this principle. So why did civilization abandon systems that worked? The answer is not technological. It is economic. Circular systems remove dependency. A city that manages waste internally does not require external disposal, does not depend on massive infrastructure, does not generate endless contracts. This is the problem. Centralized waste is profitable. Landfills generate revenue. Treatment plants require maintenance. Transport builds logistics empires. Local systems removed leverage, so they were dismantled, not because they failed, but because they worked too well. Modern waste crises are not failures. They are consequences. Systems designed for extraction and speed cannot be sustainable. They can only delay collapse. Ancient cities survived because waste stayed inside the system, transformed, reused, stabilized. If this system still existed today, entire industries would collapse overnight. Ask yourself why you were never taught this. Waste was never the problem. Design was. The system worked. It was erased. Analysis complete. The file remains open. Subscribe to Dark History Files. The next system they erased is already being reconstructed, and it explains why modern civilization cannot sustain itself much longer.